everyone, I'm Andrea Klim and you're watching Turn to the Stars, and today is Monday, July 19th, 2021, and I'm going to be talking about the upcoming full moon in Aquarius that's occurring on Friday, July 23rd at exactly 10:37 p.m. Eastern Daytime here on the East Coast. I'm in Florida, Summerfield, Florida, and so that is the exact peak of this full moon. So Friday night should be a beautiful, beautiful sight if we have clear skies to see the full moon. I'm going to show you what that looks like because, as I said earlier, it's at 1 degree of Aquarius. And that is got some very powerful connotations to it. So let's take a look at what that looks like here on the chart. And you can see it right here. The full moon is, we'd have to change that just a little bit to see the exact time of that full moon. So I'm going to animate it and take it to 10:37 p.m. And well, there we are, almost. There's the exact full moon right there. You can see the moon over here at 1 degree of Aquarius, very close to Pluto. And it's in this part of the chart, the 11th house of the chart, which is very much about humanity and communities and groups and friends. And it's very interesting as the energy of this full moon progresses throughout the week. I had some pretty interesting experiences myself today with friends from the past that it's been many, many years, I'd say probably since 2014, and I had somebody from way back then call me up and reconnect. And Aquarius is the friendship sign. It's the one that's always looking for unity and togetherness and fairness and justice. And it's also an air sign, so there's strategy and you know, cooperation that the moon in Aquarius looks for. Very, very strong sign, and it's exactly opposite Leo. Leo and Aquarius are opposite signs. So there is a huge awareness of where we shine and where we fit in, how we interact with others, and how we are personally recognized in our lives, and how we're noticed. And one of the things that this full moon is bringing up, according to the Farmer's Almanac, this full moon is what you call a buck moon. And so when I heard that, I had a vision of the spirit buck from Harry Potter, and that was a very telltale vision, and it was a very enlightening moment in that movie. And one of the things that I wanted to share with you about the energy surrounding this full moon is the symbolism of the deer or the buck. And because this energy is very prominent with this full moon. So when the energy of a spirit or of a deer comes into our life, it's a time to be compassionate toward others and yourself. And apparently with this full moon, you know, the energy of the buck is very prominent. So this is a time for us to shine, but also to recognize others and how we can shine together as a group, as a community with others. And so this is a very prominent full moon in that way. I'm going to go ahead and share that chart one more time because I do want to talk more about what's in that chart and the indications that are associated with this full moon, because full moons do bring things to full light, full awareness, And this one is definitely doing that. But what it's also doing, as you can see with the nodes here, the North Node points us in the direction where we're going to find the most joy, the most fulfillment. It's the path that we're meant to follow, and that is Gemini. And Gemini is a mutable sign. It is a carefree type of sign. It is a sign that loves information, knowledge. It's a chatty sign. A lot of, you could hear a lot of noise and a lot of communication going on, people wanting to find out what this is all about, especially about their roots, about their where they come from. And you can see here that the South Node, which is exactly opposite the North Node, is in Sagittarius. So we've been going through about a year and a half of this access of the direction that we're meant to be focused on. We're always supposed to be doing our North Node, which is if someone, if you're driving down the road and you see an arrow that says go this way, it's sort of like that with the North Node. It's the dragon's head. It's the, as you can see, it looks like a horseshoe. So it points us in a direction toward Gemini, which is the sign, a mutable sign, meaning it is a sign that's more unstable, not dependable. It likes to be carefree. It likes to go float here, float there, and explore. And it's a lot like a butterfly. When you look at a butterfly, I saw a butterfly on my walk yesterday with my dog, Bunny, and this butterfly, they typically don't sit still very long. They float here, they float there, and there's a carefree type of energy that's associated with that. And the North Node of the moon is pointing us in that direction, and this full moon is going to trine that North Node. So it means that there's a lot of support by our communities, by our friends, by our networks for the direction that we're meant to go. We're meant to pull together because we're a lot stronger when we're together. However, there is going to be some real growth and tests that come in relating to other people, because we can see this T-square to Venus over here in Virgo. So it makes us a little bit unsteady in the direction that we're going and the people that we're meant to go there with. And what does that look like? And Venus in Virgo is typically not the best place for Venus to be, because Virgo is a sign of judgment or analytical type of energy. And Venus is about love and affection and the power of attraction. So there's this challenge to be carefree, this challenge to stay on our course. Mutable T-squares often indicate areas where we need to be focused on and not so adaptable. The challenge is to not mutate and adapt and just shapeshift. The challenge is to stay the course. And this T-square on this full moon will shine a light for us on this full moon on areas of relating with each other. And one of the biggest things that's been coming up in all my readings is the level of empaths, people who are very empath, meaning sensitive people, people that always want to please others, always want to make other people's happy, even at the cost of their own, suffering or sacrifice. And then they look back and they say, wow, I'm still doing the same thing as I used to do. Why am I doing that? So that question is coming up big time. The focus of the sensitive people who we would label empaths, but the other part that is coming up big time is the realization of the narcissistic type of relationships and what that looks like. So I've been doing a lot of work with many people in those areas, and especially with the eclipses that we had starting last year in November. We've had a series of mutable eclipses. In November of last year, we had a lunar eclipse at 8 degrees of Gemini, a north node. So that, lunar eclipses are primarily about relationships and communicating, seeing both sides of things in Gemini, and that curiosity factor. And then in December we had a solar eclipse at 23 degrees of Sagittarius. Again, mutable. These are mutable signs, adaptable signs that tend to be like chameleons that shapeshift into their environments. And so a lot of things to discover from the past were coming up with these eclipses. And then in May 26th, we had a total lunar eclipse at 5 degrees of Sagittarius, and we're still in the effects and feeling the influences, and we will until November, of these full moons and what was promised on that total lunar eclipse. Every time we have a full moon, it's bringing something new to light around our belief systems and the beliefs that we had from the past, and discovering things from the past, relationships from the past showing up, such as what happened to me today. And on June 10th, we had a annular solar eclipse at 19 degrees of Gemini, which was a north node. So this was pointing us in a new direction, which would be more beneficial. Depending on where that fell in your chart, this would be the where the changes in your life would be experienced. And then we come into November of this year, and we're going to start to feel a big shift. And November 19th, we're having a lunar eclipse, which is a north node eclipse, meaning we're meant to go in a different direction in our way of relating with other people, and through our awareness. We're meant to start something new, something is ending for each and every one of us, and there's a new direction that's showing up. Now, based upon where this falls in your chart, would give us a big indication of what's changing in your life over the course of the next 6 months. And then we have a solar eclipse. Now, this is the final one in mutable signs, December 4th of 2021. We're going to have a south node solar eclipse that is at 12 degrees of Sagittarius. So again, more from the past that that is en route for us to discover, for us to understand. And Sagittarius is the sign that brings up the truth. What's the truth surrounding these circumstances? What is it that we're meant to discover so that we can get a clearer picture of change and how to manage these emotional awarenesses that are coming up for each and every one of us? And I was doing a little bit of research in the process of preparing to record today, and I keep getting that there is a big comparison with what's happening in our world, in our with the planets and the cosmos and our solar system, which is a real picture of the heavens, and it shows us what's happening above and how those influences, when we're able to read astrology, are affecting or influencing us. And we are all in a process right now of this, like you heard me talk about in a show last week about the Saturn in Aquarius square to Uranus and Taurus. And Saturn, when it's in a squaring aspect, such as it is right now, and it is on and off exactly throughout this year, can bring great fear and restriction. And it's in the sign of Aquarius, which rules over humanity, communities, groups, and a square. This is a fixed square. So this is a time where these things that are stuck or fixed or refusing to change are coming to the surface to be blasted apart or broke apart, or to be suddenly sudden explosions. That can be Uranus. And so the challenge becomes to stay out of fear for society, for humanity. And Uranus rules over things which are very unexpected and sudden. And suddenly there's a light of, a bolt of lightning. And that can be of intuition, because Uranus does influence intuition. And also, Uranus is in the sign of Taurus, which is the money sign, the financial sign, the material sign. So we're having major shifts in our consciousness in humanity. That's Aquarius, with Saturn moving through Aquarius. Now, Saturn is retrograde, and it is going to be retrograde, I believe, until October. And during that time is the time that we're doing our inner work on these fears that are coming up, or these where these restrictions are. We're looking for answers inwardly. We've had a lot of outward change, and now it's the time to work at the inner problems, the things that are on the table, so to speak. And we're trying to figure out these puzzles. And so the Uranus square Saturn, though, can bring up sudden unexpected explosions, sudden unexpected changes on Earth. Taurus is the Earth sign, and Saturn being in Aquarius is the humanity sign. And so as a whole, this is an indication that fear is something that we have to all be very aware of. Is it something that's real, or is this something that we should just slow down with and take a deeper look at and understand the things that we are experiencing? What are those fears? What are the intuitive hits that we're getting? What is the things that we're becoming aware of or woke up to with Uranus that wants us to intuitively understand what we can do to change our circumstances? So again, this is fixed. That means that this is a challenge of the will to survive. So there's a strong will with squares to survive. And we're all going through that here on Earth. And as you heard me talking about earlier, these mutable eclipses challenge us to stay present, to stay in the presence of light, of divinity, and to look to those places for support. And because it's very easy to be swayed by our surroundings, it's very easy to be knocked off our center. It's very easy to be led astray or to be impacted by negativity. And there's a lot of that out in the world right now. And one of the primary things that is very present is that Saturn square Uranus. So it does give us this guidance, or this energy, this influence, which is coming from the Saturn square Uranus, is slow down, slow way down when it comes to anything that is changing. Use great discernment and really take your time before responding unexpectedly or just erratic, or an erratic, unthought through response, because we're all here on Earth going through great change. We're at the end of an age, the age of Pisces. And if you look at history, throughout history, anytime there was huge shifts with humanity, and at the end of ages, primarily, there were pandemics, there were epidemics, there was great destruction, there was huge upheavals with humanity and on Earth. And we're at that place right now with the end of Pisces going into the age of Aquarius. So I equate this energy to moving through time and moving through what I call a peduncle. A peduncle is a very narrow passageway. It's described by the dictionary as the reed of a flower, or the vine leading up to a flower, and it's thicker at the bottom, at the top it's thinner. And then you reach the blossom, that's where the blossom happens, at the top, or the flower. But when you're passing through that very narrow passage in time, it's dark, it's scary. We're not sure what's ahead. We become very vulnerable, very open. We feel like we don't have much room to move around, in which we don't. We're moving through a peduncle in time, a very narrow passage. So primarily with these eclipses, it's a test for us to stay focused and to discern the knowledge that we're getting with the Gemini and the Sagittarius is primarily at this time with the South Node so close to, it was right next to the lunar eclipse on May 26th. So every full moon is bringing up something from the past. It's bringing it to full light. That's what full moons do. So again, I think the biggest message that I could share with you with this full moon is, let me just put that up on the screen again, is the energy of the buck. And as I said earlier, the Farmer's Almanac equates this full moon as, and they call it a buck full moon. So when a deer leaps in as your spirit animal, it's time to be compassionate toward others and yourself. So with that said, I'm going to wish you all a happy full moon in Aquarius. And if I can help you out with any of these transits or future influences in your life, or even with understanding where these mutable eclipses are taking place in your chart, you can contact me at Andrea@turntothestars.com. And until then, I want to just say to everyone, take good care. Remember to turn to the stars and you'll find your answers there. I'll see you next time.